hole now. Next job, I guess, is to tidy it up and then plate it. And apparently I'm going to be doing the welding. Right.
Stop blowing holes in my shit!
Seriously, have a look at it, it's fucking horrible.
Good. Where's he got?
It's worse than fucking pigeon poo's vultures. Small stuff. A lot of holes.
Yeah, well done. You've made a really good mess.
In the last clip, you will have seen my rather poor attempt at welding this plating. Joe ended up taking over towards the end because I'm just not experienced enough and I kept blowing holes in it, so yeah, he took over and finished it off for me. But this is the side that I did, and even though my welds look like pigeon poo, I don't know why I said it like that, but yeah, they look like pigeon shit, so they've still come out okay once I've tidied it up. The plate's all in, it's solid, there's no holes or anything to go back over with. So that's all done now, ready for ready for prepping and paint. Today's focus, however, is going to be here. So what I need to do today is strip all of this primer off. That's fine, that's bare metal, that doesn't matter. But across here, all this here, up there, and up on the top as well, in the engine bay, and then same for the other side. Need to strip as much of that as I can off, and then start working my way down the underside of the car. Basically, that's the plan for this whole week. So, yeah. But first, breakfast. Important. Decided to treat myself to a Mackey's breakfast this morning. Mackey's, Macca's, McDonald's, whatever you people out there call it. I call it Mackey's because, yeah. Anyway, what's your go-to breakfast order when you order from here? Mine is double sausage and egg McMuffin and 2 hash browns. Or if I'm feeling really fruity, well, say fruity, potato-y, 3 hash browns. But today I've only gone for 2, so yeah. I'm going to eat that. So here's what I'm using for today's job. Safety gear, obviously. Got to keep yourself covered, keep protected where possible. Angle grinder. Battery, because obviously angle grinder doesn't work without a battery. And wire wheel. Now, anybody who has seen my previous videos will know that I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with these things. If you don't know, I'll quickly post a clip of it now, but essentially, they like to hit me in the face. Which, yeah, I'm not a fan of. So, fingers crossed that doesn't happen today. Right, let's crack on. So we need something small to get into this top bit here and up here. But yeah, I think carry on this way. Do the big bits first and come back with something smaller to do the small bits. And I wish my fucking glasses had stopped steaming up. Damn it! Right. Onwards. Have this problem. Whenever you cover your face and you're wearing protective eye gear, the second you start breathing, you can't see shit. Good morning, how we doing? So, last clip, you saw I was stripping all this back, all the front end back, sorry, to get ready for primer and paint and everything else. Got it all stripped back, and in fact I'll just show you. Engine bay stripped, have done a bit of primer up there, but I need to finish off the actual engine bay primer today. All of the arches have been primered. I said both front arches have been primered. I've still got the rear ones to prep. So as you can see there, they've got a coat of primer on them. The next step for the arches will be stone chip and then paint. So yeah, essentially we're going to be doing all the underside of the car and the engine bay and the arches the same colour as the body will eventually be. I'm not saying what colour that is yet, although it's not going to be a huge surprise when it comes out. It's a Nissan colour, so yeah. Today, first job is to sand this bit of primer back, just because it didn't quite come out how I wanted it yesterday. Then I'm going to go to the paint shop, get all the bits we need, and then I'm going to crack on with those rear arches after I've done the engine bay. Let's get to it. What's this pan's cleaning up all right, you know?
Yeah, I mean...
It's just got a couple of fucking brown scabs on it in places, but like, I'm just going at it with brake cleaner a minute, getting dirt off.
Look, you don't need to prime all that.
No?
Like,
fair
that
enough.
could just get straight Gravitex.
Well, fair enough, then I'll do that then.
I mean, I'll prime as far as the primer will take us.
Yeah. Well, I mean...
Because we may as well use it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's mainly going to be legs. There's a bit back there that he's doing.
Yeah.
But then everything from like there to there, I think it's going to be alright.
Yeah.
It just needs a good clean.
Obviously, we'll have to prime around that handbrake mount.
Yeah. So,
You're going to have to mask this off
yeah. I'll have to get in car to do that.
from inside, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's annoying. That handbrake mount really annoys me. Every time I come on the car, I see it and I'm like, that looks like
about to cover it up, so
yeah.
you're never seeing it.
That is true. The engine bay is finally in primer. I can't believe how good it looks considering it's just primer. Like, I don't actually remember the last time I saw this engine bay in one colour. And yeah, it's already starting to take shape. I can't wait for the finished article. Sick! Today, got to finish seam sealing the underside of the car, seam seal the engine bay, and then start with the stone chip on the arches. Hopefully can get that done today, and then tomorrow it'll be starting to put some colour on things. Ooh, num 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 num. Oops, I grabbed the gun right. Why the fuck is that? So in the last clip, you saw me spraying on the stone chip. It's now done. It is a bit patchy in places, but everything's been covered, which is what I want. It's a nice coating. The next job is to get some colour on these arches, because this isn't the final step. So yeah, this is gonna be the first time we see the colour that the Laurel will eventually be on this car. It's gonna, well, I'm hoping it's gonna look good. The arches I'm going to do with rattle cans, purely because it's going to be easier to get into all the little nooks and crannies and stuff. And then Joe's going to go over the engine bay and the underside of the car with the spray gun once I've done that. So let's get into it.
You didn't think I was going to show you what colour it is before I put it on, did you? What do you think? I think a while ago I mentioned that there was a bit of a story behind the colour choice. Essentially, back when I don't even remember what year it was, but I was looking to upgrade my first car, which was a Vauxhall Corsa, really slow thing that I thought was cool at the time. I started looking at UK Spec 200 SXs, S14, and I'd seen one a bunch of times in this colour driving around my local area and absolutely loved the colour. One came up for sale and I was this close to buying it. There are two reasons why I didn't. One, the guy was wanting way more than it was worth. It was an absolute rotter. He'd not looked after it. The engine was making all kinds of noises. There was rot all along the sills, you know, the usual stuff that you get from any UK spec car. So I walked away from it. I tried lowballing him to see if, you know, give him, well, not lowball, but I gave him a fair price. Didn't want it, so I was like, fine, fair enough, I'm walking. While I was still looking for another one, because I really wanted one in this colour, absolutely love this colour. I know there are plenty of purples in the Nissan range, but I don't know why this one stood out to me more. Obviously I do like midnight purple, but everyone does that colour, and I think this one kind of slept on. So while I was kind of looking again, one of my friends came to me and he had a black NA MR2, and he was selling it, and I took it for a bit of a test drive and we got chatting, and eventually he offered to give me a straight swap for my Corsa. Essentially he was a biker, his wife was a biker, and he bought the MR2 as kind of a winter grocery get kind of car, which obviously is a bit of a silly idea, but yeah, he kind of needed to get rid of it and get something a bit more sensible, so we did a straight swap. I kept the MR2 for years. That's how I ended up getting into the whole Japanese car scene. I was originally looking at S14s, but like I said, just didn't come off at the time. I didn't really have much to my name at the time in terms of finances either, so in the scheme of things, the S14 probably wasn't the best idea. But obviously this colour stayed with me. I've always loved purple. Purple's my favourite colour. And yeah, just it kind of came from there really. Always wanted to have a car in this colour, and finally I've got one. Well, I say I got one. I've got an engine bay in this colour so far. But yeah, we'll get on to that in a minute. So that's kind of the story behind why I like this colour. It's a colour that I've always kind of chased after. In the UK, I think there were two main colours that you found on the UK S14s. It was the deep fuchsia, I forgot its name then, or emerald green, which I think the colour code's like DN1 or something. Both nice colours, but this one always really stood out to me a bit more. And for a long time, I did think it had been kind of slept on in terms of the car community, which is why I was like, I must have this colour. Obviously, Jimmy Oaks has since done his S13 in this colour, which looks absolutely astounding, I'm not going to lie, but I'm sorry, I know you're not going to see this, Jimmy, but I might have given him a little bit of stick in his comment, in his DMs about bringing this colour to everybody's attention, because yeah, I was kind of really wanting to kind of keep it to myself, but yeah, anyway, it's cool. His car looks cool, and yeah, I'm sorry about that, Jimmy. Not that you're going to see this, but I'm sorry. So obviously there are plenty of YouTubers out there who do car content and things like that, and you've probably seen plenty of them who paint their own cars and things like that. And you're probably wondering, is it an easy thing to do? It's a bit of a strange answer for this one. So there's a lot of work involved in painting a car yourself. So obviously the prep, you have to make sure it's prepped properly, which is why when me and Joe were painting this, Joe's involved. Joe got involved with mainly painting the car, so laying the paint, laying the primer, laying the clear coat. My primary job on this was to flat back everywhere that we were going to be painting, get rid of any rust spots, which to be fair, on this car there wasn't much. You saw me cutting out the one main area that was rusted. Everything else was just kind of, just kind of going a bit brown in places, but it was all surface. And a lot of it was dirt as well. So if you get the prep right, then you're going to find it a lot easier to get a good finish in terms of the colour. The main area where we fell down, and it's not down to skill, it's more down to experience with equipment. So a while ago when we got kit moved into this workshop, Joe got a new compressor for the workshop, a much bigger one. We had quite a small one before, and he wanted a big one to be able to power all his air tools and obviously to be able to do things like this in the future. It came with what we thought was a really good quality paint gun. So when it came to doing this, he was really excited to use it. It came to the primer, and for whatever reason, it just wasn't going down how we thought it was going to. We really struggled with it. He tweaked all the settings, even backed all of them right out and moved them all right back in and things like that. Could not get that gun to do what we wanted at all. Then we came to the conclusion at the end that perhaps it was that the primer was a bit too thick, so moved on from that. Then it came to shooting the colour, and unfortunately again we had the same problem. Went through trying to paint with this gun again, could not get it to work properly at all. Started on the underside first because obviously that's going to be the part that's seen the least. So we have gone right from the back of the car all the way under the car to the front. So we used that as kind of our testing area to try and get the settings on the gun right before we moved to the engine bit. This didn't really work out as we kind of planned for whatever reason. First off, it's a gravity fed gun, so once you tip the gun back, pointing it up at the engine, up at the underside of the car, obviously as the paint leaves the gun, it's going to start getting harder and harder to paint. Lesson learned there, but we also found that no matter what we did with that gun, it just did not want to spray. Joe had another gun that he'd been using on a few previous projects, including his own R32 Skyline that he's since sold, and he was unsure about using it purely because the last time he tried using it, again he had some sputtering issues where it kind of wasn't giving a consistent spray. So after getting really frustrated with this, and you've probably seen it in a couple of, well, actually you won't have seen it in a couple of clips, so I cut all that out, mainly because nobody wants to see people getting annoyed with shit, as real as that might be. We got quite frustrated with it, and I just suggested why don't we try the other gun to see, if it's an issue with the gun that we've got, which we did, and sure enough, it was night and day difference. Like the way the paint was coming out from this gun, we didn't even touch any of the settings on this gun because obviously it's been left from a previous job. Obviously it's cleaned and everything. So we shot it and it came out completely different. We were a little bit happier, but still we were kind of, are we doing the right thing? We were rumming around about the future of the rest of the car, in terms of whether or not we were going to do that ourselves or get someone else to do it. We do know a sprayer in the area who's the guy who did Joe's O2 BMW, and we're kind of umming and ahhing about it. And then we came up a couple of days later to shoot the clear coat, and the drive up here, because I picked him up, you could tell that we were both kind of nervous about how it was going to go. Didn't really want to do the job because of the last couple of times we'd tried to do this. We got up here, we started off straight away with his gun. The other gun's gone in the bin now. I'm not going to mention the brand of that gun because I don't think it's fair. It could just be that they've had a bad product and that's why they're giving them away with compressors. But yeah, we came up, started with the old gun that he's got, and immediately we were impressed with what was happening. Like you can see here, that clear coat looks absolutely incredible. I am beyond happy with how this engine bay looks. I'm slightly scared to put the engine back in and everything else because I know I'll scratch it. That's the scary part. I don't want to scratch it, but I'm clumsy. Yeah, so that's kind of our take on spraying if you can get it right and get the tools right, and if you have someone who knows what they're doing, then great. It's a relatively straightforward process. The hardest part is the actual prep work. If you don't know what you're doing, then be prepared to take the time and learn, because you're going to find, especially if it's a new gun, new tools, things like that, you're going to have to do a lot of trial and error on setting that gun up. Obviously there's a lot of people out there who can probably help you with that, but yeah, it can be easy, it can be difficult. As we found, we got both on this, and now that we've finished painting this, I think both me and Joe are sold on the fact that we are going to be painting the rest of the car, but first we need to get it rolling again so that we can move it around the workshop.